Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope that you all are doing well and that you are surviving this smoke if you're in the Denver metro area. And let's just all just send some positive energy to try and get these fires put out for once and for all. Okay. So I wanted to do something a little different tonight. I wanted to actually show you one of my altars that I have because I've actually had a lot of people interested in my ancestor class, and so I'm actually going to show you my ancestor altar because that is one thing that you actually can do while you are working with your ancestors. So I am going to just do this really quick, and I'm going to switch this around. How do I switch around? Oh yes, there we go. All right, so this is my ancestor altar, okay? And I have a few extra spots in the walls for extra pictures that I need to get developed and that sort of thing. But as you can see, I actually have a lot of different pictures of loved ones that have crossed over, as well as ancestors that I had never even met before. I also have some ancient old jewelry and some just little items from people in the family that that was theirs. This was my grandmother's on my father's side, and this was my grandmother and some of her different items here. I also have, which it's a little bit of a glare here, sorry. I have on my ancestor altar, I also have some pets that have crossed over because our pets have been very important to us. And then I even have an old picture of my grandfather that was in World War II. He was a gunner in the airplanes. And so I just wanted to show you what an ancestor altar can look like. I've had these skull candles, candle holders for years now, and they're just really, it's, I don't know if you can see them or not, quite honestly. There you go. I just have always kept them specifically for my ancestor altar. And, so I think that, if you just really put some energy into, creating a space, and it doesn't have to be permanent. So this is actually my permanent ancestor altar, that it just stays up all year long because I work with my ancestors so much. And like I said, I have a few spots here for some other pictures that I'm going to be putting up here. But yes, this is, oh, thank you so much, Alexis. So this is my ancestor altar here. And like I said, I have some old jewelry from some of my ancestors that have crossed over, and even some pictures that, like these are my grandparents on my father's side that I did not even know. And also my pets. So I just wanted you to see what an ancestor altar could look like. And you could just put, whatever decorations you want on there. It's just mostly to honor your ancestors, because, they're very important to us, but especially at Samhain. Okay, so Samhain, I'm sorry, I'm walking around here getting my stuff. Samhain is Halloween. Samhain is the Celtic word for the new year. And so the Celts saw the end of the year as, November 1st. So this is a time when the veils are thinned between the different realms, and that's why people could see spirits more, because the realms were thinned, and so it was just a natural thing to see spirits. And that's why people nowadays dress up like ghosts and different things like that, but that's the basis of Halloween. So if you just create an ancestor altar, even if it's just a temporary one for Samhain, then you can also honor your ancestors. And if you have not received my newsletter, I sent that out last week, but I talked about how this year in particular, it's very important that we really honor all those that have crossed over, okay? Because we've had such a rough year between, the pandemic and all of the unjust deaths, and just everything that's going on right now. I think now is even more important to honor those that have crossed over. And so basically every year at Samhain to Samhain is when we really honor, those that have crossed over, but especially the ones that had crossed over just that past year. Okay. And each year, unfortunately, I'm always adding more pictures to my ancestor altar. But that's how life is, right? Another thing that you can do on Samhain is to have an ancestor feast where you actually just create a really big feast and you set an extra place for all of the spirits and your ancestors. You could just put food there for them, and some people like to eat in silence, and some people just, like to have a celebration and call everybody in and just have the different items of their ancestors on the table to just try and honor them and to draw them in. And so you can do that. And then with the food that is on the ancestor plate, you can just give that as an offering to the land. Okay. So that's just another thing that you can do. Burning candles. So I always, as I was saying, I always have my candle holders on those specific ones for my ancestor altar. Just burning candles for your loved ones, for your ancestors. And also the concept of the jack-o'-lantern actually comes from, they didn't have pumpkins over in Europe. That's a North American thing. They actually would carve out turnips, and so they're a lot smaller, but they would carve them out and put candles in them so that people would not lose their way. Because everybody knew that the veils were thinned, and so you didn't want to get lost in the different realms, and so that you wouldn't get drawn to a different place than what you wanted to be from, especially like the will-o'-the-wisps and things like that. So, just doing some little things at Samhain, I think that you would really feel a lot more connected with this time of year. The more we do concerning each one of the Sabbats, because it's all about the wheel of the year, and also honoring our loved ones and ancestors, even people that you never met before that were in your family. And just honoring them, and even just trying to imagine what their lives were like, even if it was just 100 years ago, which that may seem like a very long time ago, but if you look at timelines, that's not really that long ago, right? So just taking extra time to honor the dead. And I was going to show you one more thing to really show you how crazy I am. But you all know this anyway, right? So this actually is another thing that I have done to honor my ancestors. So this, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's a little blurry, maybe. Okay. So this actually is my bloodline that I've been working on. Okay. And I actually just am the very one right there, at the very beginning. And then I've only done parents to child, and that's it. It's not like it's a full, family tree, whereas uncles and aunts and nieces and, yakety schmackities, all that stuff. But the reason why I created this, there was a couple of different reasons. One, and that's on my bedroom wall. So yes, I look like an extra crazy person because I have this paper all plastered on my wall. But there are two reasons why I did this. One, I wanted to really sort of trace where all of the psychic abilities come from in my family. And also, I was very interested in exploring where exactly, especially on my mother's father's side, if there was any connections to them with the Salem witchcraft trials, because my grandfather's family they all lived in Massachusetts, right at the very beginning of this country. And so, very near there. And so that's why I've been trying to track down exactly if they were influential at all. And honestly, I could honestly see them more as that they probably were not the ones persecuted, but the ones that were persecuting, just to be honest. And that's something that's very difficult working with ancestors, honestly, is sometimes there's crappy things in our family lines that we may not want to admit to or appreciate, but at least just knowing about it, I think is really important. Okay. So on my mother's father's side, they actually, that's the Burr side of the family. And a lot of people know Aaron Burr from Hamilton. So that's an ancestor. That whole side of the family is very, very, puritanical. They were Puritans that came over here. And, so I could absolutely see that they would have been part of the persecution side of the witchcraft trials. So that was just two reasons why I had created this craziness on my wall. That I've actually gone back to the 12th century on my mother's side. And it goes, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, in Germany mostly. But it's just really interesting just to see where everything, really sort of plays out. And it's a lot of work, honestly, doing this research, but it really makes me look at where I've come from, and also looking at the psychic abilities, that's on my mother's side, that I come from a line of female empaths. And, so tracing it back to, the Black Forest in Germany, has been really interesting. So that honestly does explain a lot of things. And so I'm not done, obviously, but I want to, keep exploring it. And so that's just something else. You don't have to plaster paper on your walls to do this kind of work. I'm a very visual person, so I like to have, lots of different colors and visualization and things like that. So, but you can just do it on a computer or write it down or something like that. So these are just a couple of ideas that I wanted to talk about since a lot of people have been interested in ancestor work, and I am still having my sale on my ancestor class. So if you want to do a video class, just let me know and we can schedule it. Okay. And it's basically working with your ancestors and what all the different things that you can do. Now, next Wednesday is the last Wednesday of this month. I can't believe that October is almost over already. But I had already been planning on doing a reading because I've been trying to do one reading a month. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just very excited about the Oracle tool that I'm going to be using for this next reading. So make sure to tune in or to see on my YouTube channel the reading for that. I have not worked with this tool very much at all because it's so old. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to make it a little mysterious. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I am still doing readings. I'm not doing readings on Samhain, but I am doing readings this weekend and all of next week. Okay. So just message me if you have any questions or if you want to set up a time to do an ancestor class. We can totally do that. Okay. So stay safe, stay healthy, honor those that need to be honored. And, I will see you all next Wednesday. All right. Thanks for touring my crazy house. All right. Bye.